Spoilers for Wednesday. So, I want to talk about Tyler and all the odd things that happened regarding him in the last episode of season 1 of Wednesday. Mostly because I see very few people actually talking about it. Most people just refer to him as a generic nice guy and gloss over it, or an evil manipulator and gloss over it. But there's definitely something worth discussing here. Now, to start off, I should make it clear, this video will attempt to completely disregard shipping. Attempts because the show has made it very hard to do so, the show and the fandom. I feel like a lot of people's perspectives on the characters in the show are heavily colored by who they want Wednesday to end up with, which is not something I'd expect would be an issue in a show about Wednesday Addams, but here we are. Frankly, the state of shipping in this show is funny and intriguing, with all the hallmarks and flaws of people trying to make arguments on who should and shouldn't be with who, and I barely scratched the surface looking at it. No joke, I saw someone make an argument that Tyler being a killer somehow means he and Wednesday won't get together because that's too extreme for her, which I don't even know what to say about that. But this isn't the place for my thoughts on the shipping in this show, so I'm going to try my hardest to stay clear of talking about it. All I'll say is, the show would barely be different if there was no implied love triangle, just one love interest, and it would probably be better with none, and that's actually pretty funny. Now, I actually liked Tyler. I thought he was a rather effective narrative tool, and I liked his dynamic with the characters, especially Wednesday. People criticize him for being a nice guy, TM, but I don't see how him being nice to her is a problem. And within the context of Wednesday's character, it actually makes a pretty interesting trait, because here's a character she has some similarities and emotional connections with, who isn't thrown off by her reputation or morbid disposition. And he doesn't even go to the school for weirdos she's supposed to meet people like her in.
I'm not used to people engaging with me. Mostly me coming in across the street.
You must think it's weird I'm stalking him.
No. I consistently stalk my parents.
He is, as far as we know, a normie she gets along with better and faster than most of her classmates. It doesn't even need to be romantic. You could have made it a completely platonic relationship like with Enid, and it still works. Although I admit his character could have used a bit more edge than just the "I used to be an asshole" backstory to match Wednesday. Of course, that all changes with the twist, which is why I get why some people think his character was kind of ruined by it. What was an interesting characterization may have just been an act. Now, what he was and wasn't faking isn't really something I can adequately prove or disprove. There are lines of dialogue that imply he and the Hyde actually have different personalities.
When I press him on his mother or any sensitive issue, he snaps, becoming cold and detached. It's like I'm talking to a different person.
If he was truly faking all the time, there wouldn't be a change in behavior when his mother was mentioned, because he just faked that too. Now, episode 8 doesn't so much imply as it does outright state that he's totally become the monster that is the Hyde and is absolutely evil. But there are a few factors, narratively, thematically, and even from a marketing standpoint, that makes it extremely unlikely that that's all there is to it. For one thing, for all the assurances that Tyler is totally a completely evil serial killer, they sure do love throwing the concept of slavery around a lot.
This act causes the Hyde to develop an immediate bond with its liberator, who the creature now sees as its master. Now, what Tyler didn't realize is that the truth wouldn't free him.
I'm so sorry.
It would enslave him to you. But eventually, he willingly became your servant.
No, Wednesday. The show, not the character. You can't just show him struggling and cowering, chained and naked in a cave while the adult woman trying to manipulate him into being her murder weapon stands over him, prepared to inject him with drugs, and have the main character go, "He became your willing servant." Especially after establishing that he's magically compelled to do whatever she wants. Tyler and Laurel/Thornhill's relationship just has so many red flags that I find many people gloss over just so they can write off the one character in the story Wednesday shows definitive romantic interest in as an evil manipulator, so they can ship her with either Xavier or Enid. Meeting up with him in secret, telling him who to and who not to trust, the physical contact she makes with him, referring to herself as Mama because he has serious mommy issues. I've already mentioned the cave scene. I trust you all see my point. Despite the show's best textual efforts to portray him as a willing participant, there's just too much subtext for me to really buy that. They didn't need to make him a magic slave. Every part of the story works just as well whether or not he is one. It's important to note that by the time Wednesday met him, going by the timeline of the show and his own explanations, the Tyler Wednesday meets in episode 1 is likely his normal personality while he still can't remember his actions as the Hyde. There are many theories as to the sudden change in his character, including a split personality, but the most interesting one to me is simply a drug-induced mental breakdown. Since he's being forced by his master to do her bidding, he simply constructed a narrative in his head that it's what he wants to do to cope with his inability to say no. It doesn't matter if she tells me to go out and maul someone because it's totally something I want to do on my own, no prompting required. Regardless of the actual state of Tyler's mind, I think there is reason to believe he will probably come back in season 2. Maybe even for a redemption arc. First, the thematic potential. In this story of outcasts being looked down upon and persecuted, it seems highly unlikely that the one representative of the species that is outcast, even among the outcasts, whose species is basically designed to be weapons, who canonically very little is known about, and who are compelled to be slaves to whoever controls them, just permanently becomes some murder-happy psychopath after being tormented by a genocidal normie. Especially considering hides are also unlocked by trauma, and Tyler is one of the few characters going to therapy, also making this an allegory for mental illness being exploited. Then again, this is Netflix and they don't exactly have the best track record for portraying mental illness. And speaking of Netflix, let's not forget that no matter how extra the protagonist is, this is a teenage high school mystery drama whose fanbase has devolved into tribalistic conflict over who the protagonist ends up with. There isn't a single part of me that believes Tyler is truly out of the picture. Some see episode 8 as an odd retcon of Tyler's character, and while I get it, I think it also inadvertently makes him the character with the most innate potential narratively. But I don't believe that potential can be realized without properly addressing the event that led to him becoming a Hyde. Mostly if he's a victim, but there is still something there even if he is just a crazy serial killer. As iffy as that would make all the subtext around his transformation, which makes me think it would be very ill-advised to keep him like that. But what do you guys think about Tyler? Tell me in the comment section down below, and while you're down there, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for more content. Thank you and good day.